Tuesday, and this is the 6th live broadcast from St. Olavsleden. We have traveled over the mountains and reached Norway and Stiklestad, the most historical place along the trail. And for those not managing to walk the whole trail, this is a perfect place to start. It's about 100 kilometers from Trondheim, so starting at this place you are still able to get the Olav letter, your diploma. Today we will of course focus on the history of Olav, and I'm really happy to have Arnstein Indahl with me today. He's a guide here at Stiklestad, and he's worked with everything almost that there is to work with at this place. Anyway, you know whatever you need to know about the history of Olav and this special place. So Arnstein, let's start with what happened on July 29, 1030.
We had a great battle taking place here at exactly the spot we are sitting now. A battle between a resistant army and Olav Haraldsson, the former Viking king of Norway. He had to flee this country to, approximately 1.5 years earlier, and he fled to an empire east of us called the Great Kiev Empire, where he stayed some months, and then he returned because he wanted to take back what he had lost. And he came then probably the St. Olav Trail, started in Selånger probably, and over the mountains, directly through Sweden, over the mountains, and then here to Stiklestad. And here resistant army had gathered to stop him, and it ended up that he was killed at this spot.
I understand that he actually kind of already knew that he would be killed. Is that true?
I don't know, because I wasn't present at that time. But yes, the saga tells us that he had some signs that he was going to end his life here.
Yeah. Actually, you say it's a saga, and I know it is that way because you don't really know actually what has happened during the whole way. But I know that there are many miracles told about Olav. Is that correct? And what would you know about that?
Yes, it came after his death, and it was a sort of a propaganda, I think, to get the Catholic Church with the English color into both Norway and Sweden, and they used it for what it was worth as a propaganda. It was written a book by the second Archbishop, Øystein Erlendsson, where you can read that Olav joined a wedding in one of the valleys down in south of Norway, where he made water to beer. And they copied from the Bible like that to prove that this person was very special and you have to respect him. And he became huge actually, because he became the saint for unification. And he was very important for traders and also sailors, and it was adapted in lots of countries as a saint.
Along the road that we have traveled, we have seen some statues of Olav, and he usually carries two things, an axe and a crown. The axe, is that an important symbol?
It became an important symbol because according to the poet, the saga poet Snorri Sturlason from Iceland, he was killed by 3 weapons, 3 men and 3 wounds. And that also can be similar to a Bible happening. But the last weapon was an axe. And the axe became very important as a symbol for him as a saint. And he's always pictured or carved, or wherever you see Olav, he keeps this axe because it was the last weapon that touched his body. But the axe in Norway became popular in the national coat of arms in 1280, when a king decorated the lion, which was the symbol of power for king, with a crown, and also a silver axe in the lion's 4 paws. So from then this has been a very strong official symbol of Norway.
At this time of time, medieval time, when Olav was living, Sweden and Norway did not have the same borders as they do now.
No, no, they didn't. But this has changed to and fro all the time. But from 1178 to 1645, over it should be 467 years, Jämtland and Härjedalen was connected to the archdiocese in Nidaros and the Kingdom of Norway. And it was in 1645 when the Great Peace of Bremsebo came that it was given away from Denmark, Norway to Sweden.
Let's go inside the church, because we are a little bit curious to see what's inside. But I do have a question as we walk. Let's go before the camera. In Sweden, we don't really know Olav that well. It's really a Norwegian saint for us. What does people know him? All people in Norway know him.
Not all people think about it, but in the Catholic world, he is very, very well known, and also here in this county, especially in Trøndelag here. But you are not quite correct, because he became earlier a much more popular saint in Sweden. We have found so far traces for blessed and built churches in Sweden. I think it is 101, which was erected to St. Olav's or St. Oluf's honor. Here in Norway, we have approximately around 50, and in England we have found more or less 80. So you understand, he was made very, very huge with the English Catholic Church in the background, who wanted to get Scandinavia underneath them.
Okay, we're inside. When was the church built? How old is it?
We are in the last part of the building period in the first church. So it started in the chancel or choir in around 1150, and in this part was finished in 1180. So it took 30 years to build it from there to there. It's built in a Romanesque style. If you look at the windows here, you have the nice bows there. And this is because probably the builders came from Ireland and England to Norway to build these churches those days.
And when the church was built, did it have something to do with Olav at that time?
Yes. We think we are now in the spot where he was killed. And one of the indicators is that where the altar here is erected, we think that that is the spot where Olav Haraldsson was killed. Not because of the saga of Snorri Sturlason, because he writes his saga between 1220 and 1235, more or less 200 years after it happened. But we have other sources which explain that over the place where he was killed, they erected an altar and a wood church in the beginning, and then the archdiocese was moved from Lund in Skåne to Nidaros 1152-53. And we got the archbishop, and they wanted probably to have all the most important churches in a different material, an eternal material in stone. So that's why the English builders came, and that's why also it's in this style.
I think, first of all, let's go to the altar and look behind it, and afterwards we will look at the big picture, because I know that behind the altar is this so much famous stone that you don't really think should be talked too much about. But we'll have a look and then we'll discuss it and see what the saga says about it.
I think this stone, it was very dark here, but anyway, I think this stone is very interesting. But it's probably a symbolic thing. I don't know, we don't know if it was a stone at the site at that when it happened. But in the saga we can read that it depends which saga edition you read. Because in one edition it says that Olav leaned on a stone. Another edition by the same author, Snorre again, says that he was pulled off and used a stone as a pillow.
Yeah.
But a stone those days could also be a physical object to explain people that God was present. So I'm careful about talking about the stone for you now, but it doesn't matter what I think, because if you think it is the real stone, yes it is, and if you don't, it's not.
I guess that's what a belief is all about. You choose your own belief.
Exactly.
Okay, let's go from the dark side of the stone, because we have a big picture above the altar that also is very famous, but not that old.
No. The paintings here in the choir is made by a Norwegian artist called Olav to the 900th anniversary for the battle in 1930. And it's divided into 3 pieces: morning, noon, and afternoon. And he used the saga from Snorri as inspiration. And he painted here an altarpiece of Jesus Christ, very rarely holding a sword in his right hand. The sword is not to be found anywhere else in Jesus' hand. We haven't found it. We have looked through our network all over the world, but so far we are still the only church which had this sword. And the sword probably indicates that it's a victory for Christianity. If Christianity is introduced. And if you look at the left hand, you will see the Easter lily, which is the mercy and peace symbol in the church. So that it's not that strong. It's weakened a little bit by the artist, Alfred.
It's a beautiful piece. How many you have services here every now and then?
Yes, it's a parish church, so they have services there when not every Sunday, but at least very often.
And when I arrived just an hour ago, there were pilgrims visiting the church. It's open, right?
Yes, the church is open every day from 11 to 6.
Okay, I think we will go outside, and I think, first of all, thank you so much for showing us the church. And we believe that the sound might not, or the picture might not be the best because of all the stone walls. So on the outside, I will now talk to Janne about this area outside of the church. So, here she is. Please come and join me, Janne. And hopefully the connection is a little bit better outside of the church. Please have a seat. Janne, we have been inside the church looking at that, but this area of Stiklestad has a hotel, there is a Pilgrim Center, there is a Viking house. It's a lot going on here. Tell us a little about the place and how you can stay here as a pilgrim.
It's very nice to stay here, and it's a lot of things to see. So people often prefer to be here some days. Maybe take the church one day, the other day the museum, and maybe the third day they are seeing something, it's a concert or something. And in the middle, in Ulsak, in the 29th of July, there is a sort of a big theater. Could be a theater, could be some sort of opera. It's very nice, and it's about the battle.
You do a lot of pilgriming yourself. I know that you work as a guide and bring people. Let's talk about going from Stiklestad to Trondheim. There are 2 different routes to choose from. Explain the difference and how you prefer them.
They are really very different, and that people prefer different things, Somebody want to have maybe a more easy way to go, and not so very much hills and forest land, and maybe also wetlands, and then they prefer to go the Oterled. This was established about 10 years ago, so it's not so many people been there yet, but last year it was a lot of people there. And the finest thing about that is you are working in the cultural landscape. It's a lot of old memories, some ruins from monasteries and so on. And it's a nice view when you go because you see the fjord. You're going along the fjord, and at least you take a very good pilgrim boat from the Tautra and into Trondheim. It's maybe the icing of the cake.
Yes.
So people prepare to do it like that. If you take the inner lead, it's a little bit longer. You have the outer lead is about 5 days, but the inner lead is 7-8. You know, so it's you have to be more fit if you go there. It's more up and downs and hilly, and maybe also, but some very beautiful sceneries. It's waterfalls there. You can go much alone if you want to go silent and you want to have some meditation and so on. It's very nice for you to go there. But you ought to have some boots, and you have to be a little bit skilled.
Are they about the same length, both of them?
No, the inner one is longer. It's about 120 kilometers. And of course you use 7 to 8 days to go there into Nidaros Cathedral. And the outer lead is only 5, because the last one is a boat trip, and so you won't go just from the pier in Trondheim up to the Nidaros Cathedral.
In your daily work, I know that you meet a lot of pilgrims passing through, going all the way from Selonger sometimes. And some of them used to stay inside a hotel or bed and breakfast, and some prefer to use a tent. Let's talk about the tenting thing. We do have the public access, which many people believe everything is just free. Come here and put up your tent anywhere. Is it really that way?
No, it isn't. And I think it's a little bit romantic vision about going with a tent. There's a lot of things you have to remember. You cannot tent everywhere. You have to tent where it's not a grassland, where the people are not living 200 meters from houses, and you have to be allowed. And so you will need some water there, and you have to be very careful about the toilet. So it's not very difficult for people if you do a toilet too near people, and you have to be aware of that. But I think the worst thing is that people think it's okay to go and carry a backpack with 20 kilos for 600 kilometers in 30 days. That's not good. Maybe more than 20 kilo also. So that will be very exhausting. And we saw last year, because tenting has been more popular, really, maybe because of it's less costly, you know. And maybe people think they have more choices to just have a short or a long day, you know, and so on. And where did you want to be? But it could be very exhausting, and you have to think about what you put in your backpack. You really don't need more than 10 to 12 kilos if you're going so long distance. And so you also need to know about if it's raining. Do you need to dry your clothes? And if you go to a hostel, you will dry your clothes and dry your boots, you know. It's okay. And also, it could be difficult to get food, because in some places it's about 2 or 3 stages between the shops, and then you have to carry your food and your different things of cooking, you know. So it's a lot of things to remember. And last year, a lot of people get injured in their legs, feet, and maybe on the backs because of that. Too heavy backpacks.
Usually when I talk to people about pilgrimage, I usually say that carry as little as you can, because then the experience will be better. And I hear that you agree on that.
That's really right. You have to carry not more than 10 to 12 kilos, because then you will experience more. And also know, if you go to a hostel, you will get somebody to talk to. You meet other fellow pilgrims. You have a much richer pilgrimage if you do that.
So if you still really want to go with your tent, and you are fit and you have done it before, what do you need to think about?
I think especially what sort of clothes you're wearing, because you cannot get wet really, because it's difficult to get it dried afterwards. And I think you will need boots, and you have to have good boots, because if you go with a backpack with 20 kilos or more, it will be more exhausting for your feet, really. So you must think about that, but don't lay the necessary clothes away, because you have to have a sleeping bag, a sleeping mat, and so on, because that's a bad priority.
The allemansrätten, the all man's right of public access, we have talked about that a little before, but then we talked about it in Sweden. Would you say it's a similar one in Norway, or do you know if it's a different one?
It's very similar. I don't think we should pinpoint the differences, because they are very small. But you also must know that from the border of Norway and until Stiklestad, it could be easy to find a place to have tents. But if you come down to the cultural land and all the farms and so on, and especially if you go the Outerled, you will see that it's not easy to find a wild camping site. You have to go to a camping site.
Okay, let's just summarize this Stiklestad adventure that there is here. Do you know how many pilgrims stay here every night, kind of, in the summertime?
It varies, because it's not a high season yet. But this season, it has started very good. We see it because we have registration in, you maybe spoke to it, yes, the former time in Trondheim, I suppose. Maybe you're going to Trondheim and you will speak about it. But this registration shows that a lot of people are coming through the St. Olavsleden already, and that's not the usual thing to do now. So we hope there will be a lot of people, and everybody are looking forward to come to Stiklestad. They want to see the place where Olav died. They want to see the church, and of course we also have other medieval churches along the side. 3 or 4, I think, so they are very popular, and they also could see something from the medieval time in the museum and get a guiding there. It's very nice to have a guiding there. Very skilled people are going to tell you some really good adventures.
That sounds great. And actually, we do have a pilgrim with us today, so thank you so much, Janne, for telling us all about Stiklestad. And I have so many things around here. Hello, Sofia. Please come and join me.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
The funny thing is that we have traveled from Sweden into Norway and looking for a pilgrim to talk to, and we'll find a Swede.
Yeah, and I've experienced it's very rare. It's not many Swedes who walk this path.
No. From where in Sweden are you?
Köping.
Okay, it's kind of in the south, from this place at least. So you started in Selånger and you will go all the way to Trondheim, correct?
Yes, I started in Sundsvall. Yeah, a little bit.
And when you leave Stiklestad, will you go the inner or the outer route?
The outer route.
So you are now making sure that you will connect with the ferry so that you don't choose the wrong day?
No, everything is already arranged. So it's very comfortable for me. I'm just walking and sleeping and eating, and someone else have planned everything for me. So I know it's going to be the right day when the boat goes.
Perfect. How come you're doing the pilgrimage?
I've started like 10 years ago with pilgrimage, and it's a very I love the way to have vacation with pilgrimage, because it's much in the nature, and it's also this inner thing that you contemplate, and you have time to reflect on many things, and you meet so many beautiful people. So I really love it.
So then I guess you have done other trails, than not only this one.
Yes, I've done some other trails in Sweden, and like 2 weeks in Spain.
So now you walked most of the St. Olavsleden. What is your favorite part so far?
I can't tell. Everything it's like small parts, and every day is wow, this is fantastic. It's the forest and the flowers, and it's raining, that's okay. It's sunny, that's okay. It's always this wow, now I'm alive and this is fantastic. So I have been enjoying every day.
During this walk, you have met many people, I guess. Can you remember a meeting that is very special to you?
I think it have been meetings every day, just because I haven't arranged the trip on myself. So I really don't know where I'm going to stay. So the breakfast, sometimes it has been with workers that are going out, sometimes with other pilgrims, and sometimes with youth because they have this camp. So I really can't pick anyone because it have been so many beautiful, and it's like, especially when you meet other pilgrims, everyone is so open and you connect at once and you start talking, and it's like this, we meet now and then we leave, and we both enjoy this moment that we meet. It's so very nice with other pilgrims because they have the same, because when you're out walking all the time, all the layers falling off, and you just yourself and your thoughts, and then you meet another person who's also there, and you can join with that. So very many meetings that I will remember.
And when you talk to pilgrims during an evening, is that about the day, about your feelings? What is it about?
It's about life. Yeah. Whatever comes up. Of course, it's also how have the road been and what have you experienced. But so much about what is the meaning with your life, what is your troubling, what is your thoughts, what is it that occupy you right now, and what are you thinking in the future. It's just like on the spot, directly you can talk about anything.
So what about your journey in life? Have you moved forward along this hike?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I have got some thoughts that I sometimes they come back when you have this long time. I'm walking for 28 days, so it's many thoughts that come back, and you can go deeper, and you're not disturbed by everything else because it's just you and the nature and the walk.
I would think sometimes that, oh my gosh, doesn't it get lonely if you walk all by yourself almost every day? Do you feel lonely?
Never. And I said I met this guy who is walking from Smygehuk in the south of Sweden up to the highest north, so a little bit more than me. And we said that, yeah, we're like eremit. Eremit, yeah. When we walk, we would like to walk alone with our thoughts, and then when we meet, we're so social. And then, so we really like this by ourselves. So no, I never get lonely, because and also hear so much people, so I meet so much people every day.
If you would give an advice to someone sitting at home, planning, maybe wanting to do this, what would you say?
I would say don't make so long days, so many kilometers, because you have to enjoy. And I prefer to stay inside, because then you're not so. It doesn't matter if it's raining, because you can dry your clothes and all that. But some people like to have a tent, but you really have to. For me, it's different with a hike and a pilgrimage. A hike is, you go and from this to this in the nature, but the pilgrimage is so much more. So you have to put in time for reflection, for having time for yourself. So plan it with lots of time. And it's very nice with the small places when you get dinner from a private person, and they are so lovely. So I can really recommend that.
Thank you. Good recommendations.
Yeah.
Not too far, and enjoy the meetings, but also enjoy your own time with yourself. Yeah. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Now, we have one question. Okay. For Janne. Oh, we have a question for Janne. So she has to run back here. It's nice that someone asks a question. We almost forgot to tell. We have a question. Just tell us.
Maybe you have to repeat.
Yes.
Is there less highway walking along the inner route as compared to the outer route from Stiklestad to Trondheim? We have walked the other part last year, and there was a lot of highway walking.
Okay.
But it was beautiful.
It's a question about highway walking.
I heard
What's
the
the
question.
difference? Yeah,
Yes.
but the audience maybe
Okay.
didn't.
Thank you. Yeah, it's they are very different. The two leads, you know, the inner paddle, inner lead. People call it a lot of things, you know. It's more wild landscapes, you know. It's more you're going into woods and you're going up hills and so on, and not so much asphalt road. But in the other part, it's very much cultural land, and it's also a lot of houses and so on. So it's mostly asphalt. I must say that.
Yeah.
It's not very many places you can go to a wood or, but some stages are there. So you need to be prepared for that. But it's easy to go because it's not up and down, you know. So it's what we call Norwegian flat.
Okay.
It's like Norwegian flat is not flat, but it's nearly flat.
Great. Okay, it's a beautiful view of the fjord, but there will be asphalt, highway walk a little bit. Thank you so much again. And I was just about to summarize and say that thank you for joining us this evening. We have been at this historical place. We have now 100 kilometers left before we can reach Trondheim and Nidaros domen and pick up the Olav letter. And we will at that place visit the Cathedral of Nidaros and Pilgrims Garden, and we invite all of you to join us. See you next Tuesday. Bye bye.